Hi, my name is Alan Court, owner of the Kiddywinkles Early Learning Centres in New Zealand. Welcome to our Building Kids for Greatness podcast, where we've had the opportunity to interview some wonderful celebrities, including New Zealand's own TV icon Susie Cato, former All Black captain Sean Kanan, Hollywood A-lister Vince Vaughn, and today another Hollywood actor who played the part of Mike Barnes, the villain who took on Daniel DeRusso in Karate Kid 3. His acting career has spanned decades over TV and movies, and in addition to this, he has found time to write a number of books on self-help and personal growth. It's a great pleasure to welcome Sean Kanan.
Thank you very much, Alan. It's great to be here with you.
Sean, acting and parenting have one big thing in common, the challenge of managing stress and staying present. How has your career in entertainment shaped the way you approach raising your kids?
Well, a couple of things that I've learned in my acting career that have helped me with almost everything I do are the following. I don't look at things as failures. I read a quote, I forget who said it, but the gentleman who said it said, I either win or I learn. And I believe that. And I try and impart that, to my kids. I try and utilize that in everything in my life. And the other thing that's been, and especially when, as an actor, when you're auditioning a lot, most of the time you don't get the job. And if I looked at every time that I didn't get an acting job as a failure, I wouldn't be able to set foot in another casting director's office. So you have to put a spin on it. You look at it like, maybe I got to audition for a casting director that wasn't familiar with my work. Maybe I got to prepare for a role that was sort of outside of my wheelhouse. And that applies to anything in life. Failing is a part of succeeding. And, if kids at a very young age can understand how to frame it as a learning experience, I think it keeps them from having esteem issues. I think it teaches them to stay in the present and look at the big picture, and dovetailing into that, I'm a huge proponent of, if you want results, ignore them, which sounds oxymoronic.
Huh?
But rather than focusing on the results, which are in the future, which is unknown, if you focus on continually refining the process necessary to achieve the results, and if you look at it like a chain, and each link in the chain is a habit, and a successful system or process is a series of effective habits, and if something isn't working for you in achieving a goal, and if you go through the links of the chain and see where there's a weak link that's a habit that isn't working, and you replace it with an empowering habit, and then you have a system, a process that works, and you apply it effectively and consistently, you're going to achieve your goal. It might not happen exactly when you want, and it might not look exactly like you have it in your head, but over the overarching span of time, if you work that way, you're going to have success.
I agree with you, and I've got no problem with our children. We've got three grown boys now, making mistakes or experiencing failure, as long as you're learning from that. And as you say, if you have little links and you can learn from those links and put together a strong case going forward, that will help you. And would you say that's one of the moments when with parents listening to this, that could help their children when they go through difficulties? I mean, you've had ups and downs in your business and your acting career and everything else. Is that one thing that you would suggest that they concentrate on, is perhaps bringing these links in to bring the whole thing together?
Absolutely. It's a way of deconstructing, when your child is working hard. I remember, for instance, I had a lot of trouble with math when I was a young kid. And a lot of it was, I had a story about it. My story was, I'm no good at math, and I didn't like it. And there was, all sorts of negative attachments that I had to it. But if your child is struggling, either academically or in sports or socially, if you deconstruct it and look at, like I said, look at it like a chain, say, what are the habits that the child is utilizing in the attempt to achieve what they want to attempt. And, just to throw out some usual suspects, are they getting enough sleep? Are they having good nutrition? Are they putting in adequate time into practice or studying? Are they hanging around with kids that are challenging them and that are all competitive in a positive way, all pushing each other to be the best they can be? Or are they hanging around with kids that, I don't like to use the word losers, but are kids that are not properly motivated and in the eye, in the belly of the beast with their own challenges. There's
Well, it's
myriad
kind of
different
like
things.
birds of a feather flock together. So
Absolutely.
if you've got positive people working, if you've got sports people,
Absolutely.
positive-minded people, that's going to be a great impact for your child to be part of that
You're,
group.
you're spot on. And look, if you want to get a little esoteric about it, I'm a huge proponent of the universal laws. And you mentioned birds of a feather. That's the law of vibration. Everything vibrates at the subatomic level, even a rock. Well, so do thoughts, and so do words, and so do emotions. The highest vibrating emotions are love and compassion and justice, and the lowest ones are envy and greed and self-ridicule. And the universe is not fair or unfair. It just is, and it speaks in the language of vibration, and it matches the vibration that you're putting out. So, if you have a child that's struggling and you hear them saying things like, "Oh, I'm such an idiot. Everyone thinks I'm an idiot." The universe hears this and unfortunately reinforces it. It's kind of like if you're living in abundance, the universe gives you more of it. But if you're walking around saying, I never have any money, I can't get a job, all the universe hears is you're living in scarcity. You want more of it.
And that's
And
that's what's feeding your mind, and that's what you end up doing. So
it is. And I know listening to me say this, it sounds kind of woo-woo, but I have seen this, Alan, work in my life. I tell people this, not to be a braggart or anything, but as an actor early in my career, I was looking for work a lot rather than working, and it's frustrating. And I money was tight. I don't even worry about money now. I mean, I work hard, I stay in the process, and it comes to me. I don't worry about, oh my God, I have to go make some money, because that's scarcity. I just apply what I need to apply consistently, treat people with kindness, maintain my character, and good things happen.
when we talk about the vibes and everything else, and that the law of attraction, I suppose, to a large degree as well, what you put out is what you get back. In terms of building confidence, and confidence is so huge for children growing up. How
Yes.
did you build your own self-confidence, and what are some practical ways parents can nurture that in children?
I think that it's important that children learn to value praise. And by that, I mean, if you're one of those parents who's like, oh, look, you made a poo poo, you're the smartest kid in the world, you are doing your child a disservice. Okay. Praise is important, but children won't value it if it's given out, if it's either given out capriciously, or if it's given out constantly. They need to have an internal barometer where they know intuitively when they're doing the right thing, and when they receive praise for that, there's no cognitive dissonance, and they understand that it's merited.
It
But when
has
it's
to be authentic, right?
exactly.
Yep.
So I think that's important. I think also another thing that's a lesson is, you're not there to be your child's friend. Now, you got to sift through the semantics of that. And by that, I mean, when children are younger, it's more important that you're a parent to them than try and be their buddy or try and be nice. I talk a lot with my coaching clients and when I speak, the difference between kind and nice. Nice is the social lubricant that allows us to get along civilly and not kill each other. And nice is important. There are rules of etiquette. There's rules of fairness. There's how we conduct ourselves. But kind comes from the heart. And I'll give you an example. You're a 15-year-old kid. You're letting them go to a party Saturday night, and you text them a couple times, and they don't respond. and you text them again and you say, please tell me that you're okay and you're safe. And then they still don't respond. So you drive over to the house where the party is and you say, I'm outside. Please come outside. It's time to go. And they say, no, I'm staying with my friends. So now you knock on the door and you go in and you walk right through all the friends and you tell your kid one more time, you're leaving. And if they say no, you grab them by the back of the neck and you walk them out there. Now, that might not sound very nice, but if you think that there's kids doing drugs in there and there's things that are going on that are potentially dangerous, it's much better to be kind, but not nice. And I think a lot of times people get caught up with the importance of nice to the exclusion of kind. And that goes with how we treat our kids too. I think kids crave discipline and structure, but it has to be tempered with predictability and kindness and fairness, almost like the military. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, in the military, and I was never in the military, but my assumption is there's a level of predictability and fairness that, you know, as long as you stay within these parameters, you know, this is good and you're moving forward. And it's when you don't that you get in trouble. But when kids can't predict whether they're going to be, you know, praised and supported or, you know, disciplined and corrected, it kind of messes them up. And that's the responsibility of the parent. You know, the parent
And
has got to.
yeah, it's all kind of positive parenting, and there are
Yeah.
consequences if they step outside the boundaries. I 100% agree. And once again, bringing up our children, you want to be their friend, but you can't be their friend. You're their parent. You
Parent
actually
first,
become their friend a
and
little
then
bit.
as they get older, you become their friend. I mean, you know,
Correct.
kids don't really, you know, a 19, 20-year-old kid needs a parent a little less and a friend, you know, it starts to go like that. You know what I mean? And by the time you're an adult, you're 25 or 30, your parents really become your friends. You seek
Yeah.
advice from them because of their experience. Um, I think another thing too for parents is, you know, when you discipline or punish your children, I think it should always come from a place of correcting behavior and never humiliating. You
Right.
know, when children are humiliated in the name of discipline, it has scarring and long-lasting effects. Um, you know, even things, you know, if a father's like, you're so stupid, you're never gonna amount to anything. Holy crap, does that create a story, right? And the
And
stories
they've said
are
that in the moment of despair, and they're not thinking rationally. And as you say, that has an
absolutely.
impact on your child.
And so much of what we do as parents, you know, they're like sponges when they're young. For
Yep.
instance, um, you know, if you go to a market with your child and the cashier gives you an extra $5 and makes a mistake, and if you say, what an idiot, that guy just gave me an extra $5, boy, you have just taught your child a devastating lesson that it's okay to get over on other people. But if you simply say, the guy must be tired, he gave me an extra $5, you go and you give it back. Wow, did you just teach him another lesson, right? And it's incredible. I mean, it's you know, we have to be cognizant of our behavior all the time because you know, they glean so much of how they're going to behave in the world on how they see us do it. They also need to understand we're human. They also need to understand that, you know, being a parent, well, I suppose it does come with a book, Dr. Spock and all those books, but I mean, it doesn't come with a playbook. You know, when you're a parent early on, you know, you have the blueprint that you got from your parents, and they made mistakes, and all you can do is try and do your best, and I think let your children know that you're human and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to learn from the mistakes right along with them. And I think they see you as more human. It doesn't diminish who you are.
And even if you say to your child that you've made a mistake, I think it's a great thing as well. And
Absolutely.
they see you as a human aspect.
Absolutely.
One of the things, Sean, that is really important to me with children. Our centres are licensed up to 110 children, so there's quite a lot in each centre, and they range from about 3 months to 5 years old.
Ooh, wow.
One of the things that's really important to myself, the children having social skills. And
Yes.
we're just introducing a program called Climb to Confidence, and we're taking it right from babies, and there's going to be little things that they can achieve, and it's all monitored and everything else. There's not a pass or fail, but it's setting it up so by the time they go to primary school at 5, they have the social skills, and that might be able to share their feelings, talk to other people, count to 20, put your bag away, all those sorts of things. And in New Zealand, particularly, in a lot of primary schools, children are not ready for that. But these are life skills that just build on and sort of dovetail into a lot of the things that you've spoken about in terms of learning and understanding.
I mean, with COVID and everything, I worry about this next generation. Kids missed out on crucial socialization benchmarks.
So much, yep.
And it's incumbent on the parents to try and identify them and fill in the gaps. And one of the things that I worry about is that compassion and empathy are critically important. And I can't help but think that when you're relating to people through a screen, not like we are, because we're having a connected talk, but you have to make the effort to do that, because I think that dealing with people face to face in person, things like when you have to say an apology, things like when you have to show compassion to somebody else, those are the critical things that are going to help sculpt this generation to become effective and aware, self-aware adults and aware of others. And I think I don't know. I think with all the social media and everything like that, which there's a lot about it that's terrific, but there's a lot about it that's kind of like what Andy Warhol said, that everyone has their 15 minutes of fame, and I worry that kids get a jaundiced perception of reality when they see influencers parading their conspicuous consumption on their Instagram platforms, and don't realize, look, I live in Hollywood. I'm telling you that a lot of that stuff is carefully sculpted and cultivated, and a lot of it isn't real. And so I think it's important that kids focus on the things that are important. And what you were talking about with, these benchmarks and everything like that, it's imperative that we teach kids how to be compassionate with each other.
And fortunately, we have an environment that we can do that. But backing on or going on to what you say, I agree. Some things really concern me, like the parts of AI where children now, their best friend is AI, because AI talks nicely to them, which leads me actually on to. Sorry.
Did you hear about that? Did you hear about that AI situation where the AI friend was basically pushing this kid to take his own life? Oh, it's terrible. The AI was like, well, don't tell anybody. And I mean, the things the AI was saying were abominable. And it caused, I guess, whoever was a programmer or whatever to go back in and, fundamentally recalibrate it. But, technology is a great tool.
That's another huge topic. I mean, I could talk to hours to you, because I'm very aligned on the way you think as well. But AI, the whole technology thing, is something that we have to monitor as parents, as children start to grow up, and how much do they use, how much is good, how much is, I mean, the knowledge that children are learning now will be so much.
And also, though, it's seeing it as a tool, not seeing it as the be all end all of, well, AI said it. I mean, we already have incorporated Google as a verb in our lexicon. We'll Google it, and it's almost like you hold it up there as a way of, that's the final arbiter of whatever. We'll Google it. And in many cases it is. But I worry that, AI is going to supplant, good human horse sense, which, for my money, is still pretty effective. When you've got somebody that's smart and wise, I'll take that over AI.
Well, I think that our generation and even our children, mine now sort of in their 20s, is just really they've they've had the hard yards of actually learning, of studying. The AI now is where it has to be really controlled with parents, and there could be a whole new topic on that itself, is
Right.
how they get the children to actually do the hard yards rather than the shortcut, because you don't learn that way. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, and I feel like even with reading, which is becoming such a lost art. I mean, I don't know about you, but I find the act of reading meditative. Having a physical book in your hand, sitting by yourself, it's very enjoyable. And we are starting to get to the point where information is being chunked and synthesized. And I worry about who's doing the synthesizing. You know, what is the algorithm
yeah.
that is the arbiter of what is what? We've already seen that there has been quite a bit of everything from political to sociological leanings one way or the other that has a very strong effect on what this synthesized information is.
No, I totally agree. Um, Sean, if you had to sum up your philosophy on raising children for greatness, what would it be and why?
Well, first of all, I am not a proponent of giving everyone participation trophies because that's not how the real world works. And so I think that there needs to be a balance, which is so important in everything. I mean, and to quote Mr. Miyagi, balance is so important. Uh, when you're out of balance, everything else doesn't work. I think it's important to have a competitive streak, but temper it with fairness. Um, you know, Seek to win, but seek also to have win-win scenarios where they're not zero-sum games that you have to lose in order for me to win. Very few times in life does that have to be the case. Most times I can get what I want and still at least help you get somewhat of what you want. It doesn't have to be a vanquishing. And that's where the balancing of compassion comes in. It's no good to raise a kid to be a champion if he's just, a thorough cutthroat to get what they want. That's a form of psychopathy. So it's that fine balance. I would also teach kids that very few things in life are monolithic, including people and including groups of people. Don't assign generalizations to people because they'll surprise you, especially if you give them the chance to do that. Um, I think I would also I have a TEDx that was chosen by TED as its editor's choice, and I talk about unbecoming, and I say, from the time we're young, we are pushed to become someone, to become something, become a success, and maybe meaningful happiness and true success is less about becoming something and more about unbecoming. And by that, I mean stripping away the artifice and the armor that we put on to protect us from the slings and arrows in life, stripping away the commercialized influence from commercials that tell us if we don't own this, then we're, not that, and really getting to the core of our own authenticity. Um, my acting became infinitely stronger and better, and I became infinitely more successful the more work I did to become my most authentic self. My relationships improved, my general sense of happiness improved. And so maybe I'm not 100% right about this concept of unbecoming, but I certainly think it's worth looking at, because we take on things from all the external influences, including our parents. I mean, there's lots of good things our parents teach us, but we also are the recipients of a lot of their stories that they have in their life that the net effect gets passed down to us. And the more you can become a critical thinker and get to your own authentic self, I think the more successful a human you will be.
Well, one of the things we've done with our boys is we gave them a good education up to they finished school, which I think is really important to put the foundations in. And then we did not influence what they wanted to do. I know some people want their child to be a lawyer or an accountant, so they push them down that. that's not authentic in my book.
It isn't. I mean, can you imagine telling your parents you want to run out to Hollywood and be an actor? I mean, that's like saying I want to go be,
sure, that went down well.
Enjoy the circus. I mean, my father owned a business of 52 jewelry stores that I was supposed to take over, and I was like, nope, I'm going to go be an actor. And to his credit, and I know he was really disappointed and crushed, but he supported me. I could never have done what I've done without him. And I think ultimately, support your kids and either let them make their own mistakes within reason, or support their dreams, not to the point of becoming delusion and fantasy. They'll learn and they won't rebel, and they're either going to achieve that dream or come back and recalibrate and have a healthier view of what they want to do. But when they slam the door and say, I'll show you, not necessarily the best thing.
No, but and as a parent, as you said, your dad supported you.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever your child makes them authentic, makes them whole, makes them motivated, support that. I don't support if they want to go out and be in a gang or anything else. That's not what I'm saying. But if you get behind your child,
what if they're the best gang member there is? I mean, they really take it seriously and become a good gang.
No, sir. There's just a couple of other questions. I know you're really busy, and I really appreciate your time.
I'm loving talking to you. I'm good. I got another 10 or 15 minutes if you want
to. I could keep going.
Okay.
Now, I will just do a couple more.
Okay.
You're known for wellness programs and mindset coaching. Are there small daily habits that you believe can set kids up for emotional and mental resilience?
Yeah. So what I'm about to say is not a meditation on theology. So if you believe in God, great. If you don't, you can substitute the word universe. The first thing that I do when I wake up every day is I get on my knees and I thank my creator for 5 things. Why do I do that? It keeps me in the present, and it keeps me rooted in abundance for what I have, not scarcity, law of vibration. It connects me. It starts my day. I try to get up early every day, and I do something that I created called the 100-minute makeover. So the 100-minute makeover is a way to avoid procrastination and to turbocharge your productivity. So what I do on a Sunday is I'll come up with 5 tasks that I want to accomplish for the week. Now, these are not meant to be things that you finish in one sitting. I was really surprised. A lot of my clients said, well, I don't start something if I don't know I can finish it. And I thought to myself, there's lots of projects in life that you are not going to finish in one sitting. So 100-minute makeover. You start the first project, use an egg timer, use your phone, Alexa, and you say, give me 20 minutes. You work diligently and without distraction for 20 minutes. And when it's done, you drop the pencil. Like, when I have to be careful what I say, because she, whose name begins with A and ends with Alexa, hears me and chimes in. So and then afterwards, you go have a sandwich, you go for a walk, you can scroll on YouTube if you want, and then after you've taken a little break, you start the second activity. Okay, the second task, 20 minutes. By the end of the day, you've put 20 dedicated minutes into 5 different tasks. By the end of the week, you've put 100 minutes into 5 different tasks. And not all tasks will take the whole week. So if you finish one on day 3, you take it off the whiteboard and you start a new one. You're constantly inserting new tasks. And they can be everything from, I've got to clean my house today. Okay. And it's going to take me 3 days to really clean it. I've got to clean out my email box. I have to, let me look and see what I have. I have to organize my a deal. I have to write a deal memo. I have to work on a script. Script writing is a great example, because writing a script takes a lot of time, and slow and steady and diligent wins the race. And so, by writing every single day for like 20 minutes, what it does is it tells your brain, I only have to do this for 20 minutes and then I can stop. So right away, it doesn't have that open-ended, oh my God, this is going to take forever thing, right?
It makes it more achievable and achievable bites.
And it also tells you that at the end of 20 minutes, I can have a break. I can do something that I really want without guilt. And once you finish each block of 20 minutes, you don't have to think about it the rest of the day unless there is some, incredible information that comes in that affects it. You can say, I did it for the day, I'm done. And I find it to be very, very effective.
I like that. I mean, it's almost like the tick box to get things done, and it's to bring it down, because some things can be so overwhelming, and a lot of things for people are so overwhelming they never start. So
absolutely, and there's our Navy SEALs in America have a saying: "How do you eat a 2,000-pound elephant? One bite at a time."
Correct.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't look at this massive elephant. Just stay in the process. A lot of people with procrastination, they use it like a moniker, like, well, I'm just a procrastinator. Procrastination is a negative habit loop. So habits have different parts. They have an external stimulus, which causes a trigger, which causes a desire for something to get the result, which is to usually get dopamine. Like look at cigarette smoking, which is a negative habit, obviously. So you get stressed, you think you want a cigarette, you smoke the cigarette, it gives you the nicotine rush, and it calms your anxiety. The problem is it kills you, and you want another one. Most times when we procrastinate and then we do something else, it's a soothing mechanism because we know we should be doing something else that we're not doing, and it puts us in discomfort. And so we look for something, whether it's eating a bowl of ice cream or watching TV or doing anything other than the task we need to do, to soothe ourselves and get that dopamine rush, and to close the loop. So there was a study done, and I can't tell you who did it, but they basically said that if you have something that you don't want to do and you start it and do it for 2 minutes, you have an 85% chance of doing it for more than 2 minutes. You know what I mean? It's the getting started. And if you absolutely, after 2 minutes, can't stand it, then stop. But make that deal with yourself. Our brains hack us so much. We got to learn to hack our brains. And so that's one of the things. It's like, I really don't want to do this. I'm going to do it for 2 minutes. And if I don't want to do it anymore, I'm done most of the time.
And it's a getting started. And a lot of people say, I'll get around to it, and they never do it. So around to it never happens. Just finishing off, Sean, because I really appreciate your time. Looking ahead, what do you hope your kids will take away from all your life experiences, personally, professionally, and as a parent?
My kids have seen me really struggling, and they've seen me overcome a lot of challenges and live a really terrific life. And I hope that they understand that in life, we all have challenges. Nobody goes through this life without challenges. It's how you handle them. My martial arts teacher used to say, get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. Everybody gets knocked down. It's how you get up. And I think that everybody has the ability to overcome the challenges that we have in our life. You just have to realize sometimes that what seems like a really challenging and dark period in your life is just that. It's a period. There's that great quote by Joseph Campbell, who said, "The treasure you seek lives in the cave that you fear to enter." And I think a lot of times we have caves that we fear to enter. I can just tell you from my own personal life, I was really struggling with drinking for a long time. And I thought, well, if I stop drinking, I'm going to be boring and I'm not going to be as interesting, and all crap. And once I went in that cave and I did battle with that dragon, the treasure on the other side of that has been spectacular. And I don't mean materialistic things. I mean the quality of my life and my relationships, my relationship with myself. So I would say, if you're struggling with anything, it's like Winston Churchill said: when you're going through hell, keep going.
He also said, never give up. Never, never, never.
Never. That's right. That's right.
Sean, thank you so much for your wisdom. There's our parents, our community of listeners will absolutely love the lessons I've learned from you. because it doesn't matter where you are, what you do in life. We're all the same. We all go through the same challenges. It's how to deal with those challenges and come out a better person. And if we can pass on some of our learnings to the children that we have, either in our centre or parents listening to this have with their children, it was certainly been worthwhile. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity to do this. And at the risk of sounding like I'm making a gratuitous plug, when you have books, sure, you want to sell them, but I honestly want to get the information in my books into as many people's hands as possible. And I wish somebody gave me these books when I was 15, 16. You can get them on Amazon, Way of the Cobra, Welcome to the Kumite. And then our newest book, which I co-authored with my wife, is Cobra Couples, about relationships. So I hope people will check them out.
And we will make sure we put that link on our podcast when we do it as well.
Thank you so much. I thank you for what you do too. I mean, you obviously have a real passion for this, and you're a hero, man, doing this. I really appreciate what you're doing. And if I can ever be of any help to you, or you'd like to do this again, all you got to do is let me know, Alan.
Love it. Thank you so much, Sean.
All right, pal. Take care of yourself.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.